All right, we've got a small group. Maybe we can get going here in a minute, and as people join, we can have them jump in with us. I'd like to do, this topic is the value of ROTEX and Rotary Youth Exchange, and the guiding question being, what is ROTEX and how can it help your program? And maybe we could extend that a bit to be how might we support the ROTEX effort? Because I think everyone would agree that ROTEX is a great connecting point between our youth programs and eventual Rotary membership, which is, would be one of the nice benefits of supporting youth programs, is that we make lifelong Rotarians out of our alumni. So with that, can we go around the group here and do introductions, a little bit about your role, your connection with ROTEX? Maybe you're just here to get some new ideas, or maybe you are ROTEX, and what you hope to get out of the session. With this small of a group, I think we can get into depth, or even go, take a different branch too, if you like. So I'll call on you, and then if you want to introduce yourself, past District Governor Shab Alwar.
Good morning. My name is Shab Alwar, from past District Governor from 5330. Now I serve in 5300, and love to be involved with Rotary programs, and just attended a program with ROTEX about the importance of skills in ROTEX besides the college education. So that was very interesting. They put that program on in India, and that was very, very interesting program.
Interesting. All right, thank you. Marie?
Hi, I'm the district secretary for 5100, and I am a host parent, and I also sent my daughter to Belgium. I actually work with the ROTEX that we have about 7 fully committed ROTEX, and I've been working with them on their constitution and different parts of developing their program and helping them delineate what their roles are, because they're also all assistant country officers in our program. Mm-hmm. So helping them define their roles and whatnot. So I'm hoping today to either share information or gain information on how to better engage, because I agree that they can become the lifelong Rotarians as long as we really make them feel welcome.
Great. Marie, remind me which district you were in?
5100. Ooh, sorry. I guess I forgot to put that in there.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's Oregon, right?
Yeah, it's Oregon and Southern Washington.
Okay, thank you. All right, Brandy?
Hi, I'm Brandy Richards. I am from 5400 in McCall. I was a former Rotary Exchange student along with my sister, and my daughter just returned from Belgium as well this June. So I have a huge interest in ROTEX for both my daughter and myself. So.
All right, thank you. Dee?
Well, this is kind of weird. I'm trying to hook up. I'm Dee Wood from District 5320, which is in Southern California, and I'm in the middle of the ocean right now, and it's foggy. Yeah, so I'm trying to pay attention and be focused. And I've been affiliated with Rotary forever, and had my own kids do the youth exchange program, and I was a global scholar. And so I'm really interested in helping our district and our club of about 300. We're in one of the large clubs, Long Beach, California, to promote and get a more organized, solid, centralized experience related to youth programs. So I'm going to be on mute but listening. So thank you for all that you're doing. Okay.
Thanks, Dee. And I'm in District 5400, and I'm in Boise, Idaho. My son went on exchange to Denmark in 2016-17, and he is going to university in Austria right now, so he definitely got the travel bug. And we, in this district, we have interested students who want to have an official ROTEX, but we aren't official yet. But we do involve our rebounds in our programs. And I can share a little bit of our story here in a minute in terms of what I've learned about ROTEX and getting it launched in a district. And I'd be curious to see what others are running into with that too. We just had another person join. So Holly, we're just introducing ourselves, and maybe you could tell us what your role is and also what your interest in this session is regarding ROTEX, what you hope to get out of it.
Yeah, I'm the youth services chairman in Sedona Village Club. And this is my first time at it. I've been involved in many of the programs before, but never as chairman. And the last club that I was in didn't have any ROTEX or exchange students turning, but this club does have one. So I'm learning about it. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. Let's see, before we go on, I need to assign, can someone be the recorder to take some notes during this? Is someone willing to jot down? Marie, can you do that, please? Thank you. I think you could just do it in the chat window if you like, or however you prefer. And then Brandy, could you make sure that we don't go over time? Be my timekeeper. I think we are going until, let me double check. This goes to the top of the hour, but we should probably make sure that we're wrapping up at 10 minutes before then, right? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. And then I'll do the reporter. I'll be the reporter. So are we recording this? We are recording this. All right. That's ongoing. In District 5400, I'll just kick this off in terms of what we've seen with ROTEX, and I'll relay what I've learned about it. When I was at the NYAN conference this last winter, one of the board members of NYAN is ROTEX, I forget his name, and he was talking about how in the prior 12 months, he'd had 13 or 14 districts approach him, or something. It was a lot of districts approach him to try to get a ROTEX club or entity launched. And the process for doing it was they had to have a constitution and bylaws, and they had to be, have all of this organization, just like you were starting a Rotary club. And he said out of all of them, none of them made it through that process because it was just so complicated. Having to move through all of that was not what they were interested in doing. They were interested in connecting with one another, maybe doing some service projects, definitely some social events, connecting with the students that are following them in the program. That was of much more interest. But then having this huge barrier to create an official organization was too daunting for them, so they gave it up. And I found that was true in 5400 too. I had one of my more energetic rebounds set out to create ROTEX official in our district, and it wore her out to do the bylaws and all that. It wasn't what she wanted to do, so we don't have it either. But I did learn, so here's something. There's an official position within districts called alumni chair, but not every district has appointed anyone to this position. Often the alumni chair sits in the membership committee at the district level, or maybe at the foundation, in the foundation district. And rarely does it sit in youth services though, but it is something that is definitely overlapped with youth services, because anyone who participates in Interact or RYLA or Youth Exchange, or if they're a Peace Fellow, or if they're an ambassadorial scholar, or any of the programs, that they're officially an alumni. And you could also argue that anyone who's been a host parent, who's been a volunteer on a major project, that they are a Rotary alumni too. And so it's a way to keep track of them. And there's also, there could be budget related to it. And it could be the foundation of a more formal way of recognizing alumni on the whole, but specifically ROTEX and within a district, without having that barrier of having them, you know, formalize it. So you're asking, you know, 19, 20, 21-year-olds to put that together. And while they're perfectly capable of doing it, that's not what they really are interested in doing. But you have this other avenue to explore. So I just wanted to bring that up as a possibility. Has anyone else seen anything within their districts that might help facilitate the creation or organization of ROTEX?
Well, I would like to share something with the group. About April, we decided the ROTARACs are not around. So we just formed ROTARACs for Peace. And we did not think about it as a movement or about a big program, but guess what? The minute you poke those youth, their energy flows. And within a month, we had about 1,400 people, 1,400 Rotaract in the group on the Facebook, and they formed a website and communication on WhatsApp, and they exceeded the WhatsApp group. We went into Telegram. And from my experience, if you want to form a ROTEX, bring them in, let them do the work, let them see how the way they, and they did it in a very efficient way. We just sat down and we watch, and we connect them with the senior Rotarians, the speakers. Then they have their own conference. So they do their own things differently than we do things. You know, we like to do all the things before, and then by the time we get to the nucleus of things, half the group is gone. They don't want to be there anymore, and we just, you know. But what they have done, they put committees on their own where their passion could be. And some people are good on website. They did a website. Some of them welcoming people on WhatsApp and Telegram. They did that. And then all of a sudden they put a conference on, peace conference. So if in order for them to do this or to do a ROTEX, I think it's like we did it and we have the experience in it. Let them empower them and let them do it. Then you just connect them every once in a while, whatever they need, resources from Rotary International or from the district and from the zone. And I think it becomes a lot more easier. And once they connect also internationally, they can see how the international people are doing it. Like I attended a meeting the other day, the youth exchange. It's all online. And online, they connected with over 25 youth exchange that they will send them to different districts online for 2 months. So they do things differently right now. And I think we just have to go with the flow. You know, especially there are a lot of opportunities internationally. And once you connect the ROTEX internationally from your district internationally, then that's where it all happened, because they got all the ideas of how other people do it.
So when you had these students gather, it was a more of a organic or less formal organization for them. Is that right?
Yes, and what we did, I bought a Zoom for them, and on Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, everybody meets at 8 o'clock. And it started with 10, became 20, and all of a sudden, 100, 150. Now, they're meeting on, after they put the conference on, they're gonna put 2 more conferences on, peace conferences for Rotaract, and they're still meeting, and then now they're gonna put an academy on. So they invigorate things more than we think that we can invigorate things, because they understand each other more. And now we're forming clubs from them every, you know, in districts or internationally. And we ask the Rotarians to help them financially. If you want them to help you in your club, bring them in, but let them probably have their own leadership on the side. And I think this is a new concept that you can have them in and connect them with Rotary.
Right, that's good. Marie, you mentioned that you've got a ROTEX, a budding ROTEX group that's forming. Maybe you could share how that came together and what they're doing.
There are a group of students varying from when they went out on exchange. They're all former exchange students. Some went out as long ago as 10 years ago. They sort of formed a nucleus, sort of like what was being discussed. And because they had such a strong relationship with their country officers, they also became assistant country officers. So they're learning the ropes so that when people retire or decide to move on, that then you have your next level of person who understands and knows what's going on. They decided to form a formal ROTEX, and so they've gone through the process of writing all their bylaws and all of those things. But it's interesting because they don't want to assign a president, a secretary, things like what we're used to doing. They want to capitalize on the strengths, which is what Shab was saying. It's like, if I am good at this, let me do that. So they kind of share the responsibilities, but they have to identify 3 people in control. What our ROTEX have done for us is they have taken over a lot of our training that we do for our inbounds and our outbounds. We found them to be a lot more effective. So they've written all of those procedures, and they do the presentations, especially the one on hygiene and physical intimacy. Not having us old gray hair people around, they're much freer talking to these students that are closer to their age. And I think we had a much more positive impact. These individuals are very motivated. They love youth exchange. They're kind of willing to jump through the hoops, but I also know, like, I think one of our ROTEX was at the NAN conference last year. His name is August. And he had a ROTEX shirt on, and everybody was trying to talk to him. So I don't know. I don't think he's the person you were talking about, but they are very passionate about the program. They want to do more diversity, inclusion. They are very into pronouns. There's all kinds of things that, again, we are more reluctant to, that they sort of hit us in the face with, which is great. So I think we're going to have a successful implementation. My problem for them has been, you need to separate yourself as assistant country officers from ROTEX, like, because they're doing both and they're overlapping them, and I'm not sure that's a good idea. So, but I have people you guys can utilize. I'm sure they would love to talk to any group. So they're very, very motivated.
That's great. It sounds like a good organization. I think, how many outbounds do you have typically each year?
Normally, well, this year we had 46. Last year we had 45. But this year, because of COVID,
Yeah.
we've had 23 deferred, and then we're still waiting on the other countries. We're still planning on sending kids out in January.
Yeah.
So
our district is usually around 15 to 20 outbounds each year, and then they go off to college elsewhere. It's kind of hard to capture them locally, but or to keep them nearby. And our district, like yours, is kind of geographically broad, so you've got them everywhere. But so having that core group. But
well, the other thing that they've done to just for that connection piece is they get on the Instagram with these students, the inbounds and the outbounds, and so they stay in touch with the ones they connect most with, and they send them birthday cards, they send them graduation cards. So the ROTEX really kind of own those inbounds and outbounds so that they feel loved by Rotary, and they've, I think, made a good I think they are part of the really strong connection we have with our youth exchange program. So,
yeah. some of the things that you talked about with the group. I've taught at Boise State University for several years, and one of the books I read recently was called Generation Z Goes to College. And it's generations, they're not millennials. It's Generation Z, and it's different. And when I was in the classroom, I saw a striking difference when the Generation Z started getting into my classroom. They are the we generation, that they are very much want to do things together. And that whole idea of not wanting to elect a president and go through that is a prime example. They do things together. I'm going to just share a link to that book, because it's, even if you don't teach, it's interesting if you know people in that generation to just check it out, because it's really interesting. And I think we'd be well served if we're guiding ROTEX to kind of understand how it's a bit different now. It's actually very encouraging, the things that this group is, how they're different is also encouraging for the future. But anyhow, let's see. Holly, do you have anything in this space, like do you see ROTEX activity that you can share with us?
No, I'm just so new to it. I'm not sure. There's another woman in our club that is very active and in charge of our district youth group. So she's the one that's kind of, but they show up for the welcoming for the new international students, and they speak with them. So they're pretty active, but it's in the whole district, because it's the whole state of Arizona, or northern Arizona anyway. So they are active. But I'm not sure about if they're formally there, but they wear their shirts and everything, so.
Yeah.
So I need to get my daughter involved with your program, Holly, because she's at Northern Arizona.
Oh,
And
great.
so she's a ROTEX now, so.
Oh, great.
That's one thing with the alumni. If you look at this through the Alumni Association, they do have mechanisms to track alumni. I mean, you have to opt in on it, but once you check in with Rotary, and I think next week is like Reconnect Week, and you'll see ads on Rotary websites and so forth to have alumni reconnect and share their contact information. And then that, like you may be an alumni from Oregon living in Arizona, but the alumni chair in that area could still find you, even though you're not really connected to any clubs or anyone. They could still find you. And so that is a good mechanism for organizing ROTEX and all programs. But
what I found really, really helpful is forming an international group like WhatsApp or Instagram. And I put 2 links on this conversation. If you hit it and then you go in, then it will connect you internationally. So even the ROTEX, they move around. I mean, especially nowadays, the young, they're in another state or in another country, whatever. This is a good way of bringing them together and bridging them back to the Rotary and Rotaract in your district, or the RYE, like the Rotary, the Rotaract for Peace. They brought in Peace Corps for the RYE in Ukraine, which has 750 entries when we held it about 2 months ago. But the Rotaract were some of the facilitators in those for the RYE kids, and the way they facilitate with games online and stuff, us mature Rotarians probably were not capable of doing it, but they know where to get these programs and get people involved in for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, some of those programs, some of those games, and they came out smelling like roses. I mean, it was a fabulous way to see those all these development, different than RYE. I've been involved with RYE for 18 years. Youth exchange officer for 2 years and stuff, but it's different. How they do it nowadays is completely different.
thank you. Thanks for those links.
Thank you.
Brandy, you are ROTEX, and I'm curious, was there any organization or or connections through alumni along the path? I know that you are now a Rotarian, but you just joined, right?
Yeah, I've just
Yeah.
new since April. So I actually am not ROTEX. I don't even remember my club having it when I was returning. In fact, the return was a little hard on everybody because we had I think we had a conference, but we never stayed in touch with anybody. And Rotary wasn't really involved with us, which was kind of sad. That's why I'm here, because I feel like, these kids, they need to have some sort of, a group of people that are rooting for them and that are there for them when they come back. Yeah, so that's why I'm here. But yeah.
What club hosted or sponsored you? Where were you living when you went out?
I was from Orofino, Idaho.
Okay.
So yeah, I was part of that kind of the British Columbia area too. They go all the way up north.
Yeah. Okay. District 5080 is.
Yeah, 5080. Yeah.
Super. Yeah. So, thank you for joining Rotary. That's the story we want for all of our alumni to come back around and join Rotary. You don't have to do it immediately, but at some point. So, thank you.
Well, on another note, my daughter wants to do her senior project now on creating an Interact club here, since we don't have one. Rotaract might be another option for her as well. But yeah, so that's actually kind of great because I think she's going to stay in Rotary.
Very excited about that. And Emmy did such a great job doing her exchange during the pandemic this year. So overcoming all kinds of things.
I was gonna say, Brandy, when I have to agree with you, I think one of our biggest gaps is with those students that come back. Like, we love on our inbounds a ton. Our clubs love on our inbounds, but then they don't really know the outbounds because they're gone. So I feel like there's a major disconnect. It's like, that's the person that you also want to love on, like take them, do things, whatever. But we don't seem to do that, and I don't know why.
Yeah, and it's actually, I think, harder coming back in some cases.
Yeah.
I know my sister and my twin sister went to Thailand, and I went to Argentina, and we had some very tearful nights because nobody understood us and how much we had changed. So that's where it was really important to me to have some sort of, to do this so that I can help out and with these kids coming back.
Yeah.
Well, I have good connection, ROTEX, for your daughter went, Belgium, my daughter went to Belgium. So depending on what district she was in, but yeah, no, my daughter is now she was there 2 years ago. So, and had difficulties because they are not always kind there. If you don't know the language,
right,
we're not gonna be your friend. So yeah. But I think we need to do better. And I don't know if it's identifying people in our clubs or if it's the ROTEX. I think people are kind of tired. Pandemic. But like, I feel like we need to love on these kids, kind of like what Shab is saying. It's like we need to love on them and let them grow and let them be and use their skills, encourage and bolster, I guess.
Is your daughter part of ROTEX?
She isn't officially part of ROTEX because she's not here with our ROTEX anymore. So I wanted to do Rotaract down at NAU, but I understand their program's a little iffy, but she's trying to get her legs under her a little bit with school, and we'll see. But she's chosen to go into international studies because of Rotary.
Yeah, I kind of think that's where Emmy's headed too.
She's double majoring in that in French. So.
Oh wow, great.
Oh yeah.
Would you mind leaving your information so I can reach out to you?
Sure.
Perfect.
You know what also helped in forming these groups, I put it in the chat again right now, is the resources that I made for all of them. You can hit that link from my Google, and the last one I just shared. And then you can go to every website in Rotary International without putting your credentials in, you know, except if it is a website that needs sensitive and needs to for you. So this way, they were able to go in and get a lot of resources from Rotary International. Like if you want to go to the Rotary Act, you hit the link and then it takes you to Rotary Act without, you know, checking in. So that helps them tremendously. Not only them, it helps a lot of the DGEs and DGs and everywhere else that I gave them that link. So you try it yourself, copy it and paste it somewhere and then use it. So you will see it's amazing that you can find things by subject instead of going 4 layers in. You can find things by subject. That helps
great.
quite a bit.
Thank you very much. That's a really great list. Yeah. Gosh. Dee, you're welcome to jump in here, but I know you're probably watching for an iceberg or something, so it's okay if you can't.
Would it be helpful to see what our group came up with as far as like how they wanted to support the youth exchange program? So they divided it up into an inbound liaison who would work with the district committee inbound coordinator, same for outbound, same for rebound. And then they had someone who was going to be the Rotary liaison. So they would be the one who attended Rotary conventions or whatnot to explain what ROTEX was about and what they were doing. And then they have their ROTEX in general, like the general member, someone who isn't necessarily in a leadership role, and then they can support whatever that whole idea of we.
Yeah.
So they have specific jobs. I wonder if I can find that and share it. It's still kind of draft, but it gives you an idea of what you can do. And I think it helps to separate those. There's some that love inbounds, there's some that love outbounds, there's some that want to deal with rebounds. So it's the collectiveness and it's not overwhelming to them. So let me see if I can find that and share that in the chat with you guys.
Well, while you're looking up that, I wonder, one of the challenges that we've had over time in getting our rebounds and ROTEX involved in the programs is the nature of their schedules and I don't know, maybe it's even a willingness to commit, but often if we'll like have an event that comes up and we'll need, let's just say we need 8 ROTEX to help us with it, and we'll get 8 commitments, and then 4 will have like some schedule change, and we'll lose them, even if they have a specific duty assigned to them. So we've learned to just have to be really flexible because of the nature of their jobs is not such that they can flex. You know, it's they're working service jobs, and totally understandable that they can't, if they get scheduled on a Wednesday to work the weekend, they can't not work often. So we've had to like really be flexible in how we assign things. So I'm kind of curious if you've seen this in your areas where you've given responsibilities to the students, how do you work through the possible changes or backup? Have you run into this, Marie, where you've got your ROTEX are assigned to things like assistant country coordinator or they're delivering training, which I think is a wonderful idea to have them deliver the training. But
yeah.
Do they bail out on you, and then do they back one another up?
Yeah, they have not. I think that's the difference is this is a pretty committed group of people, and they're just now starting to branch out and invite others in. because they want to grow it. But I think they spent a couple of years really bonding with each other, discussing what they wanted the ROTEX to look like and what they wanted them to do. And then in the process, the country officers kind of sweeped them in, which I think is really smart. Because if something happens to your country officer and they're the only one that knows about the country or the students, they're sharing skills. So I think that's a really smart way to kind of rope them in. But no, because they have responsibilities, they're doing the teaching. It's about them doing the teaching. It's not, and we're just sitting back. It's actually leveraging their capabilities to assist us so that we're not having to do all that training. And if you want that training, I'm sure I can get it because they've written it all out. But it does, it makes a huge difference. They have ownership, which is, I think, what a lot of Shab was talking about earlier, is if you give them ownership, then they will do it. They don't have ownership. If you're just saying, hey, come show up, they're not gonna.
Yeah.
So.
All right, we're at 10 minutes. Maybe we should identify some of those big themes that came up. Let me see if I can summarize those.
I've been taking a lot of notes. I can't figure out how to save a file and share it with you guys. That was, oh, maybe I can make a PDF. No? Anyway.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on whether they turn it on with Zoom. Sometimes you can attach files and sometimes not. Let's see. I think some of the big themes for ROTEX were to allow that group some autonomy to connect and structure on their own, to choose their own way of connecting with Rotary. I think that a lot of, to facilitate that, they need to have strong support from the districts, and I'd really like this idea of like how the clubs need to love on those outbounds and those rebounds, and we in our positions need to help influence that. I know that some districts have, and I'll interject this because I forgot to before, some districts have a role called outbound counselor, like a club level outbound counselor, and they're the ones who stay connected with the outbounds that they sponsor. It's a bit of a fuzzy role because some people interpret that as serving as a country coordinator, but it's not. So it can be a little bit of a gray area there. But anyway, but I think that, you know, we in Rotary need to support those ROTEX and encourage them and lift them up, but then not put barriers and do things for them, but let them organize on their own, is what I'm hearing from this discussion. I think that's a really important takeaway from this. And Shab, sounds like you have just opened the door to provide all the resources needed for the groups to do that, to engage how they see, how they wherever their passion lies within Rotary, and to connect with one another as they see fit. And Marie,
you have fresh salsa in there too, you know.
What's that?
Yeah.
I'd like to share one more thing. The other day, I attended a meeting in 2982, and they called it Rota Skills. So the Rotary Act held a meeting where all business people come online and connect the Rotary Act with some business people. And that was so successful that people were sharing ideas and also connecting the youth to the head of businesses and colleges and stuff in their communities and outside there, wherever they're moving around or they have a job in those areas. And that was very thoughtful. I mean, I thought that was really, really creative.
That's a great, yeah. Gosh, you know, the next phase in their lives is school and career, and who better to guide them through, you know, that vocational understanding than Rotary, right? So to make that connection, that's a
right.
Great. Yes, and also Marie talked about the just using ROTEX to deliver training, even write the training and deliver it. I think that's a great idea. We have done that, dabbled in that, but I think maybe maybe because we're only dabbling, then we run into the other, which is we lose them when we ask them to commit. But if we just put it on them, say, you need to be here because no one else is going to train these students, then maybe that would really.
Well, and then we review what they're going to go over just so that if there's anything, but like one of our older members went into the meeting with the boys and the two ROTEX were like, out of here. This is our meeting with them.
Okay.
We're running it.
Yeah.
And you know, they had much better conversations because, you know, it's two dudes talking to a bunch of dudes and
Yeah.
it was,
I know when inbound orientation a couple of years ago, my wife, who's also Rotarian and she's our outbound coordinator, had volunteered to talk about some of those sensitive relationship topics. And that's probably something that people will chuckle about for years, but it would have gone a lot better and more effective if we could have found a couple of ROTEX to kind of help out with that. But
You know, I wanna give a little bit of probably an idea for everybody online. Maybe you want to form a Zoom meeting, form you know, any group you want, but form a Zoom meeting where you have set time every week or every like I set time for training on Global Grant the third Tuesday of each month, and I have over 150 people join from all over the world. So set it up in a way that all your youth can come together into that meeting at certain time on Zoom. Doesn't matter ages, whatever. So this way you can connect them all together and connect and get some people, some good, passionate people from your district to be on the meeting and answer their question. Because they have a lot of questions to ask. We take it for granted that they know it, but they don't.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of the things that Rotary want them to do a certain way, even like the signs. You know, you cannot put this one over here. You got to put the Rotary over here. They have to be associated with a club, you know, to have a, you know, an organization. So this way you can have them all in one place and teach. And then after probably 3-4 meetings, you will be amazed. They will start teaching each other. And then you will be standing on the side. And that's exactly what happened for over 15 platforms that we have right now on WhatsApp and Telegram.
That's great. And you know that like that, you probably did that before the pandemic, but now people are picking this technology up much more rapidly. So I'm sure that would really work well. Thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
I'm going to try that myself from 5400.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're closing out here. I see just a few more minutes. I just wanted to, on behalf of the organizational committee, thank you for being part of this today. There's going to be they had planned to have a closing session, but they scrapped it so that we could have a little more time in each of these breakouts. But there will be some communication and opportunities to provide some feedback on your experience today. I hope it was good. And yeah, please make sure to respond to that so that the task force can make adjustments for the future. I think it was exciting to have an opportunity to collaborate regionally with districts. That's not something that we do very often. We have opportunities in youth exchange for NAIN, but I don't know if there's anything like that that exists for Interact or RYLA quite like that. So having all the 30 districts available here has been exciting. So thanks for your participation. Is there any other parting thoughts from anybody?
Thank you, Mike, for managing. That's good.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely.
don't forget to save your chat if you want all the notes, connections, and thanks everyone.
Yeah, I'll leave this up if you want to go back and do any copy and paste here. I'll make sure I'm the last one off. So.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am going to leave you alone, but thank you. You were fabulous. Mike, thanks a lot for all of you. Nice meeting you. I have to leave because I have to be on another meeting at 12 o'clock. So
okay.
To all of you, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Brandy, say hi to Emmy for me.